All right, so welcome to tonight's session. You are here for the robot game strategy, and it's very exciting. Richard's going to be talking about designing and programming a robot to accomplish the challenge missions that can be daunting. So this workshop is going to focus on the strategy of the robot game, and will be especially useful for rookie teams or teams looking to up their robot game. I wish this session was around when I was coaching. There'll be lots of tips for teams and rookie coaches to help with organizing the team and thinking about engaging the whole team in the robot game aspect of the FLL Challenge program. And our presenter tonight is none other than Richard McMullin, and you are in for a treat because Richard is one of my, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, one of my favorite coaches. I don't know, is that allowed? But anyway, a fantastic coach who is very experienced. He's a professional engineer and has been coaching First Lego League Challenge teams since 2007. Many years, his teams have made it to the Ontario Provincial Championships, and sometimes they've even competed internationally. Richard also coaches programming FRC team 1310, so for the program after First Lego League Challenge for high school students, and he is co-founder of a software development company, Alteryx Inc., based in Toronto. So Richard, I'm going to pass it off to you to take us through the rest of your workshop. It's going to be fantastic. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you, Dave. Really appreciate it. Great intro, and thanks a lot. Yeah, it's been a long time I've been with First. 2007, the Power Puzzle was quite a long time ago. That's when you had the provincial championships at a high school, because there weren't that many teams, right? Now you have to have two. So
that's right. Yeah, exactly.
It's a lot bigger now. Yeah, I've been coaching for a long time, and I've watched teams as they come to tournaments and try and score points at the robot table. And I find that teams really kind of need some pointers or guidance of how to score a lot of points. I've in the past taken teams to the provincials, and a couple of years ago when it was still in person before pre-COVID, I was lucky enough to take a team of kids that struggle with learning difficulties. And it was nice to engage them in first because it's a place where they really shone. And they were able to score the 6th highest score at the provincial championships. And they used no sensors. Their robot code was pretty simple and straightforward. But imagine that you're 6th in the province with that kind of strategy. So that's kind of what I want to bring to this presentation. So with that introduction, I think we'll just get at it.
And while Richard's bringing that up, if you have questions throughout, feel free to throw them in the chat. It's probably the best place to leave them. That way, when Richard has moments and he wants to take for questions, or at the end when we take questions, then we'll have them all queued up. So as you think of something, I find it helpful to be able to just write the questions out and gets it out of my head, so I don't have to think about it anymore and remember it, and I can stay focused.
Thank you.
One of the things that I usually do at this point, if we're in a live presentation, is go around and ask people if there's something specific they want to get out of this presentation, so that I can highlight it when we get there. Does anyone have any specific questions before we start that they are hoping get answered today? You can put that in the chat box, and Dave maybe can help me read them.
Sure, I'll put that in the chat box.
Or if you have it and you're here, then just go for it.
Well, it's similar to what you already touched upon, right? You mentioned that you were able to accomplish the missions without using a sensor. I'm a first-time coach, so we are actually wondering to what extent we should use these sensors, the distance sensor, light sensor. So just curious to get more information on that, on where to use sensors, and if not sensors, how we can go about it.
Okay, yeah, I'd love to talk about that, and you'll see. I'm even going to play a little video of me, just something I coded up in a couple minutes.
Thank you.
Because I have a kit, so that's great. Okay, so I guess at this point I should just go on with the presentation. Let's see the windows up in here. So can everyone see that okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so This presentation, just in case anyone's in the wrong room or thinking about something else, we're going to talk about the robot game. So there's different components to the FLL challenge. There's the project and the presentation, there's the robot game, and the core values that we use when we do it all. This presentation is for rookie teams or teams struggling with their robot table score and you want to get to the next level. So my assumptions are you don't have a lot of time. Nobody has a lot of time. You want to get everybody involved. So there are some teams that only have 1 or 2 people program the robot and do all of the coding and building. I'm assuming that you want to get every team member involved and that you want to find a way to do that and that your team wants to rank near the top of your tournament in the robot game. I think that's a great goal. And part of ranking near the top is scoring the points. And then the last thing is you gotta be having fun when you do this. It's not worth doing if you're not having fun. And I think that's where our teams have really had a good time, like making sure that it's fun for all the people. So normally in a top 10, you start from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. But I'm going to go the other way because really there's only one point that I need to make, especially, well, pretty much for all teams. And that is set yourself up for success. So coaches, make sure you have laptops that are ready with software loaded. There's nothing worse than getting into the time with the robot and finding that you don't have laptops that work. Your robots need the firmware updated. Your robots and laptops can't communicate with each other. And then a big thing is the backup strategy. Where will you save your programs? How will they be backed up? So really, these are keys to success. I can't tell you how many times I get to tournaments and people call me over for help and they say, I've got my robot, here's my robot, but I don't have the program. Can I download the program off of the robot? And the answer is no, you can't download the program off of the robot. So really, it's critical to have a backup strategy. So as a coach, having all the equipment ready and using those precious moments that the students have to program the robot effectively is important. You don't want to wait until you're in the room before you do all this. So another big hint and a big time saver, except for the coaches, is the coaches build the table models. So I just built a setup kit, and this year it takes about 5 hours to put together all of the table models and glue them down to using the dual lock to the table. So, but if the coach does it, first of all, the students aren't wasting time building the table models. They're actually thinking about how to solve the problem. So it saves their time and effort. And the second thing is, as a coach, if you're good with Lego building, you know the models are built correctly. So one of the big frustrations that teams have is they build the models incorrectly at home, and then they program to those incorrectly built models. And then they get to a tournament where the models are built correctly, and they struggle because it's not like their models at home. And it can be a real source of frustration for the students as they try and present their work, their robot work. So really, in any of the complicated missions, anything with movement or anything like that, I would suggest coaches, you build the table models. Point number 2, read the rules. So again, I can't tell you the number of times I get to tournaments and teams don't know the rules. Reading and understanding the rules is key to scoring the points. Take the time to understand how the missions work and how to score the points. So good question today. How can you get the most points with a blue container? So you've got a blue container, it's sitting on the mat at the beginning of the match. How do you get the most points with that?
You get the most points with that by pushing it entirely onto the wood and filling it up to the brim to where it can close.
Yeah.
And
that you have to fill it, the machine's unused capacity, then you have to fill it with the orange, green, and blue cubes, making it sure it closes, then placing it on the mat. Then with the robot, you have to push it fully out of the circle and back to your home base.
Right, so you have to capture it into your home base, you fill it up, And then how do you score more points with it?
Push it to where it has to go.
Which is?
Back to base.
No.
No, it's gotta go out in the field.
Back onto the area on the map.
No.
Oh, you make
Completely
sure
in
that
any
it, that it
circle.
fits in. There's like this little
Completely in
area
any
between base and the wood, and
No,
if
it-
all your materials fit in there, you get an extra amount of points.
Yeah, but the blue container in specific, you capture it off the field, you're going to fill it up, you close the lid. That's scoring part of the blue container.
Yeah.
However,
Can
you
you-
also want to deliver it with the other cargo to circles on the board. If it's
Yes.
completely within a circle, you score 10 more points for the blue container. If it's
That's
on a
nice to
truck,
know.
you score 10 more points. If it's on the boat, you score 30 more points for it. So it is a container that you want to deliver out onto the field and score more points with it. Okay.
Okay.
Again, key to scoring points is knowing how to score the points. Time number 3 is hint number 3. The kit bot is good. I can't speak to this Spike Prime, but I think it's a really good robot. And certainly this one, the EV3 kit bot. Can you see that? Am I holding it correctly? This is a standard kit bot. And what we've done to the kit bot, what my team did 2 years ago, was they took the standard kit bot, you'll see here with the loop on the front, and instead they took that loop off and they put this little yellow arm on it. And this arm is in the middle of the robot, and that allows them to easily take an attachment that they've built and stick it onto the arm. Okay, like that. Takes 2 seconds to pop it on and pop it off. They also put a back bumper, and the back bumper is used for 2 things. It can square up against the wall. If the robot hits the wall, it can square up. And secondly, if you're in base and you want to start the robot against the wall, you have a nice flat surface here. So you know exactly where your robot's starting if you do start it against the south wall. There used to, at once upon a time, there used to be a west wall as well, but that area is now the base area. So there isn't a west wall. But the south wall is still useful for launching if you want to know precisely where your robot's starting. You can score a lot of points with no sensors. I said that in the introduction. But what you do need is you need to know how to control your robot. You need to know how to make it go straight forwards or straight backwards. You need to know how to turn to the left or the right. And you need to be able to put that arm up and down in front. Also, comments are really useful in documenting your code. And I'm going to show you an example of good comments in a minute. Keep the robot clean. There's nothing worse when you get to a tournament than someone saying something like, are we going to run bridge 2 or bridge 3? Or worse, are we going to run Alex number 2 or Sean number 4? Or Alexa number 3 to do the bridge? So you've got names that are nothing to do with the mission that you're running, and it's somebody's name, and you don't know what version you're supposed to have on the robot. And there's an Alex number 1, 2, 3, 4, and she never cleaned anything off. So keep your robot clean. When you go to the tournament, it's only the programs you intend to write.
Yeah, that happened. That
Sorry?
happened to our team once.
Yeah.
With our EV3, we
Yeah.
had bridge 1, swing 1, then swing 2 because we updated the code. Then we forgot to delete swing 1 off of the robot. So, you know, we run swing 1 and it just broke swing off the map.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that kind of thing happens. Yeah.
And it
that-
ripped swing off, and we're just like, what just happened?
That's
it's-
totally fun. That's totally fun. It's not the fun that you want to have though at the robot table.
Yeah, but it was funny. We were all just laughing.
Yeah, that's good. Core values are part this year of being at the robot table. When things go wrong, if you can have a laugh about it, that's better than yelling at the referees for sure.
Yeah.
So one robot, many tools. So again, I spoke to the idea of we modified the base robot to do some work. However, in all of my teams, we have a freeze the robot design. So by the second week, for sure, that you're working on the table missions, you want to say this, without my attachment, this is the robot. And anybody who's going to make an attachment, their attachment has to work on this, right? So I can take this arm off and I can put a different arm that I need for a different mission. But what I can't do is start sticking pieces onto the robot, because none of the other teams that sub-teams that you're going to work with, and we'll speak about sub-teams in a minute, will actually be expecting that. So try and freeze your robot base as much as you can, and then attach tools. So here's the example in the picture that I've got. I don't know if you can see that very well. Hopefully you can. And what we do with this tool, instead of trying to put this tool onto the robot, we put this tool on the base, we put a cargo in it, let's say. So now I've got a tool with cargo in it. And then it's sitting on the mat. And then I go along with my robot and I click my robot on top of my attachment. So now I can push this cargo out to a circle. Right. Do you understand what I'm saying there? So the robot's just going to go up and clip on to this. This is sitting on the mat. I clip the robot on. 2 seconds. On, off, on, off, on, off. Really easy. Super fast. Takes 0 seconds to do. Shake test. Nothing falls apart. Again, you always have to be able to pick up everything that you're going to work with one hand. And if you shake it gently, it stays together. That's a solid model. Ideally, if you drop it from a gently, it would stay together as well, which these do. This is a pretty robust design. Number 7, plan to score points. So this is a critical thing. If you want to score points, you should plan to score points. So starting with the easier mission, start with the easier missions close to base. So this year, this is Cargo Connect. I have looked at all of the missions from the table that I built, and I think these are the easiest missions. And you'll notice that the total score here is 345 points. And this is just easy, easy, easy stuff. The easiest of the missions that are out there. Okay. 345 is a lot of points. If you score 345, I guarantee you'll be in the top 5 at your tournament. Maybe the top 1. It's a lot of points. Reliability. So plan to not interrupt your robot. It's worth 50 points. There is an exception this year, which is that you're allowed 1 free interrupt. And I think they did this to encourage teams to be more daring, to try and do that mission way out in the corner that's hard to get back to base. And the idea is that you can try that mission, and if it didn't work, you can get 1 free pickup and bring your robot back. You know a mission works when you can run it without interruption 10 times in a row. So if you can go to the table, put your attachments on the robot, put your mission down, and run it 10 times in a row, and it gets the points every single time, like not 5 times, but 10 times in a row, maybe 9 out of 10, then you know that your mission works. If you get it once and then you miss once and then you get it again and you miss again, it's not a valid mission, because that means in your robot runs, you might get it 1 out of 3 times. Know your launch spot and base. So use the squares and the text in base for alignment. Launch from against the wall using the bumper, and then test your tolerance. So kind of misalign it slightly one way or the other, forward in base or backwards in base, than what you would normally align it, and see how far out of alignment you can be before the mission just doesn't work anymore. And that gives you an idea of how tight you have to be with your alignment when you put the robot down in base. Okay. There's a hint here. You can run along or into the wall to know where you are. So if you hit a wall, the wall's always going to be there, especially in the south. and the east. Once you hit a wall, you know where you are. Now this year, it's hard to hit the east wall. There's lots blocking it. On the south wall, there's also lots of crap in the way. So it's kind of a bit less reliable that way. Step number 9, practice, because you're going to score these points reliably in 2 minutes and 30 seconds, which requires practice. And work in bass is kind of like a dance. So what we do is we get everybody to do a mission or two, and then we tag off in bass. And it becomes a little bit of a dance. And you choreograph it. You have to know, where are you going to stand? What piece are you going to pick up first? What piece are you going to pick up next? There's 2 people at the table, so they each have to be working together at maximum speed to save that launch time so that you can be doing mission. New this year, core values are judged at the robot table. So as part of the robot, you have to learn and know the core values. And you have to think about, how is your team demonstrating core values during the robot game? Okay. Number 10, and this is a big one. If you're done, stop. So 2 weeks before the tournament that you're going to, you have to stop. You can fine tune maybe, but really you should be focused on, is your code well documented? Practice those switchovers. Is it all getting done in 2 minutes and 30 seconds? Do you get every mission every time? And then as a coach, make sure you have all of those final programs backed up and on a USB key. Wipe the robot clean, re-download all the programs and try them, and make sure that you do have all the correct programs and only the correct programs on the robot when you're practicing. In other words, practice with the production robot. And don't introduce new programs until everything is working perfectly in under 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So if everything works perfectly and you have 2 minutes and 25 seconds used up, don't try and add another mission, because you're not going to get anything done in 5 seconds. Like, just stop. You're good. That's what you're going with. And it's better to go and do your very best and have a perfect run at a tournament than to go trying to add in that last thing and then not score very well at the tournament. So again, what we do is we score everything that we can score, but we score it every time. And that's a big piece. So here's some sample documentation for imaginary bridge mission. So go up from base, pivot, drop the innovation model in a circle, lift the arm, knock the far bridge over, lift the arm again, go over the near bridge, spin back and knock it again. And then turn, lift the arm up, turn, and go for home. So with these comments embedded in, you can read the code. Someone could read the code and know what you're trying to accomplish with these move blocks. Okay. So design a table strategy. So now we've talked about all the things that we can do. How do we do them? How do we organize ourselves? So there's a lot to do and how to share the work. So we break our teams into mission sub-teams. Maximum of 2 people. 3 people don't work together on a mission. So one is person working solo if they want, or optimally a group of 2 people, because then you can bounce ideas back and forth. You can watch it run. You've got someone to help you look, etc. Agree on regions of the board or specific missions for each sub-team so that people aren't working on the same thing. There's no point in having 2 missions that being coded up by 2 different teams, because you can only run one at the tournament. And limit yourself in the number of programs. So really, if you're launching 6 times at a base, you're at the end, maybe 7. And I'm going to show you an example strategy with 7 right now. So we're going to start with the easier missions closer to base, and these are them. As you know, those are the ones that I've chosen. You might choose different ones, and kudos, go ahead. I'm telling you that these ones are like, you should score 345. That's a reasonable thing to do. So how would you group the missions? So now if we've broken people into groups, you could ask them, what do you want to do? But then at some point you want to figure out what you want to do first, what you want to do second, what you want to do third. If the robot's leaving base, can it do 2 things at once instead of 1 thing? Can I reuse a program and run the same program twice in a row to do the same thing twice. So maybe thinking about the sequence of tasks is better than thinking about the groupings.
Is that why you need this?
Oh, I heard some music.
Yeah, if you
Sorry?
can just mute yourselves. If you're not muted, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah. So here's my example table run, a fictitious table run that you might try for this year's Cargo Connect example to get all the missions that I outlined before. So one of your problems is you've got a chicken in the way. This guy's totally in the way. Get him out of the way. Just hook him and take him back to base. You got your handy dandy hook, you hook him, you pull him out of the way, he's gone. He's not in your way anymore. You can put him back later. Get the chicken out of the way, get the blue hinge box in base, as you guys talked about earlier. Unload the cargo from the plane, deliver the innovation model and do the bridge in one run. We just talked about that in the commented code. Deliver the home package, do the truck convoy, and then put your containers back and unload the cargo ship and park in the accident avoidance. Right? So what does that look like on the field? So these are all words, it's better to do it with a diagram. So get the chicken and the blue hinge container back to base. So those are out of the way. Unload the cargo from the plane. See how these two are right together. So it's really easy to do these two at once, right? Deliver your innovation model and do the bridge. Do the home delivery. Here's where I'm going to use up my rescue. So I'm going to go out there and do home delivery, and then I'm just going to pick the robot up and bring it back to base because it's super fast. Deliver your truck convoy. Put the cargo and the chicken back. Again, I've chosen two circles. There's a third blue circle there if you wanted to try and put another piece over there. But these circles, each one scores 10, and anything that's inside of this scores 10. The other thing to do with one of your cargoes is to put it on one of the trucks. There's a truck that starts in base, just drop a cargo in the back. It's a guaranteed 10 if you can get the truck out. Right? And then the last, do the cargo ship, which I thought was going to be a super hard mission this year, the mission number 7, unloading the cargo from the ship, but turns out it's actually not too difficult. And then just turn and back up into the accident avoidance area and wait for the match to end. So you don't want to leave that area once you're there, because those points only score if you're sitting in that area at the end of the match. But of course you know this because you've all read the rules, right?
Correct.
Correct. Okay.
Richard,
So,
just to give you a heads up, we've got about 8 minutes left before we want to take questions.
Perfect. I'm almost done. So these are the next step missions. So these are missions that you want to maybe stretch for. So the transportation journey, getting the plane and the truck off of those things and across the blue lines. I know it looks like in the videos they showed it slamming it, but there's nothing in the rules that says you can't just use an arm and fling the pieces off of these where they're resting. You don't have to hit the thing on the back. Again, with the engine, same thing. You don't have to use that yellow lever. You can just knock it and spin it over. Mission number 12 is the large delivery is an interesting one. You're going to see really advanced teams use some kind of cart and kind of haul it out to the right spot and then drop it off of a cart right onto that thing. So they're going to run it along the wall and deliver that. Airdrop, there's another good one way out in the corner that you could think about, but it's not hard. It's just a bar that you run into. So pretty straightforward. So those would be the next step. And then there's a bunch of really complicated missions that I wouldn't recommend beginner teams tackling, because if you get these, you're at 450 points, you've won the tournament already. So I wanted to show home delivery because someone asked, how do I do missions without a sensor. So this is home delivery. Just go forward, turn a little bit, put an arm down, and drop the home delivery. So hopefully it's a little quiet. Hopefully you can hear this.
Okay, so here we are. We're going to take our standard kit bot here, which has an arm on it, and we're going to try and get the home delivery. Our robot in base is going to be aligned with the T in Rockwell Automation, and then we're going to put our cargo on the arm, just sitting on top of a peg here. The peg goes into the hole. And aim down the field and launch. Goes forward, turns slightly, puts the cargo on the platform. Okay, so here we are.
What do you think?
It runs excellent.
Cool.
So there's an example where it's kind of a hard mission, being down in that corner, and there's two key ingredients to the success of that mission. One is get the chicken out of the way, and then just aim your robot and do it. You don't have to play around with walking the line and all that. Those are great learning things. I don't want to take anything away from walking the line. I'm saying that if you're trying to score points, that's super fast. I just ran that mission in about 7 seconds. Like, there was a lot of explanatory stuff, but in a real game, in under 10 seconds, you would have scored those points. Okay, coaching tips, last thing. So here I want to just throw in big coaching tips for the coaches in the group. Ask questions. So that's the number one thing. Can you show me? That's the number one question I ask my kids. Show me. They complain that something's going wrong. Show it. Show me. Mechanical design. Hold it up for me. How does it attach to the robot? Make sure that the one hand rule works. Another one, if you take it off that arm, are pieces left behind? Can you show me how the robot would use that? Put it on the robot and move it by hand. So that's another thing, because sometimes they think that they're holding a tool in their hand and they're using it like a wrist. And the robot doesn't have that. It has just forward and backwards, like up and down. So it doesn't have the torquing thing unless you build a really fantastic arm. Launch, where does it fit in base? Where do you align the robot? Can you tell me? Is that the same place you lined it before? Can you do it again? Watch it 5 times. So there's always miss on the same side or in the same way. If so, that's great, because you can always adjust for that. If it's randomly missing one side or the other, it's time to think more about how you can make it more reliable. Watch it again. Again, what do you see? It's really coaching the students to watch carefully. In programming, save often. Always yell out, have you saved your work? I yell that out 20 minutes, every 20 minutes when people are working at the robot table. Save your work. Have you saved your work? What's the name of your program? And then I keep them on a USB key. So that way, when they say, oh, I lost my program, I said, well, here's what it was last week when we met. Here's what your program did. Choreography. So this is table running. If you're switching off and you've got all these sub-teams working on missions, they want to be at the table running them. So which mission is running first? What's running next? What are you doing when the thing comes back to base? Is that where you should be standing? Who's going to take this off the robot? Who's going to put the next thing on? What hand should you be holding that part in while you're waiting for the robot to come back to base? Should you be holding in your left hand or your right hand? There's no point in holding it in the wrong hand, switching it over, and then trying to free up, and you drop it on the floor, and now you're scrambling around on the floor trying to pick it up. And where did you pick it up? Where was it sitting on the table before you walked up to the table? And it was some answers. Can I just hold this in line? No, you cannot hold that attachment in line. It has to be sitting on the table when the match begins. Are they getting frustrated for the day? Here's a big one. Are you having fun? If you stop having fun, it's time to call it off for the day and come back to the robot another day. If they are having fun, one of the encouraging things, can we do one more run? Especially if they're practicing a trade-off. Handoff, because those handoffs are critical to getting 2 minutes and 30 seconds at the provincial level. And I always keep a scoreboard with my top score so far this year. Last day we got to 135 points. Today, let's see if we can get on top over that. And then lots of cheering when something works, but that's pretty natural. And that's it. Questions or comments? So I did my top 10. I gave you a robot strategy breakdown, an example, and really good coaching tips.
Awesome.
Anything else I can give you?
That was fantastic. Thanks so much, Richard. As promised, it was excellent. And I would like to, I don't lie about these things. So I have a question in chat for you, and feel free, as we said earlier, if you have questions, feel free to throw them in chat, or we can unmute you in a second, but we'll start with the ones that are in chat. So we've got a question, are we allowed to move the chicken? Because they, I don't know who they is, said we are not allowed to.
And
Right,
one of the coaches of the first Lego League, when we went to Mountain Park, they said we're not allowed to move the chicken.
Can't imagine. There's something in the rules that says, is the chicken still in the circle at the end of the match? That's how you get the scoring points. But there's nothing that I've read in the rules that say that you can't move the chicken.
Okay.
It's where it sits at the end of the match that's important. It has to be upright and in the circle, right?
Yeah, because
So
the delivery, it's one of the parts has to be resting on the chicken. On the turbine. I remember in the rules it said that the turbine has to be laying on the chicken and on that part.
No. I don't think
I'd
you're
help you out,
allowed to
Richard, but I
have.
haven't read the rules.
Okay.
Because
It's not on the chicken. It's not on the chicken.
Yeah, there's nothing about the chicken, I think, except for that you.
yeah, because it's the rule is one thing, another person says another. So it's
Oh,
confusing.
don't go for hearsay. Read the rules.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, even another team may be interpreting the rules incorrectly, right? So make sure you read the rules yourself, try to understand them, get an adult to look at them, check the forum for it, because they may have updates
It's
there.
not a chicken. They have to put it on it. It's a blue thing or a gray thing. I forgot.
The blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I remember when I saw a team, they had it on the what's it called, the chicken tail.
It's not on the. You're not supposed to have it on the chicken.
Can you see this window? Can you see
Yeah.
the robot rule?
Yeah.
dialog? Okay.
While you're looking for that, Richard, I will ask you another question that maybe is simple to answer while you're searching. It says, if we do not use the free pickup, does it give us bonus points or no?
No, no, not using the free pickup is 50 points. Using the free pickup is 50 points. It's the second time that you interrupt the robot. The first time that you interrupt the robot, even if you're not actually interrupting it. In the example that I gave, the robot's just sitting there. It's not touching anything. You're going to pick it up. It's called an interrupt in the rules. That first one is free, and it doesn't matter whether you've crashed into something. There are other rules about crashing into things that you're carrying, but that can happen anytime. So some teams might want to take this strategy of, I only have one free one and I'm probably going to blow something, so I'm going to save it for that and I'll always try and get back to base. But there is that free pickup and you don't get no points even if you don't use it.
If you pick it up but it's not free, like a second one, do they take away of the bonus token?
Yeah, they take away.
Well, they
after
both
60
take away
seconds.
bonus. They both take away tokens, but one is different than the other. So here's the large delivery in the chicken, right? So it says, transporting large items can lead to unexpected problems like maneuvering around a chicken statue along the way. It is important to plan ahead so nothing is damaged and your cargo arrives safely. So if at the end of the match, the chicken statue is upright with its base in its circle, you score completely, you score 10 points. There's nothing to say that the chicken has to stay there the whole match.
Okay.
And this is where you don't want to read into the rules. You don't want to make new rules. There's nothing here that says the chicken has to be there the whole match. Don't make up a new rule that you don't, because you're just doing it for yourself, right? No one else is going to have that rule.
Yeah, I understand that because it was confusing at first since
It's
a
pretty
team
easy
had
to,
it because one of the announcers said that it wasn't allowed to move.
And you can always remove it, do a mission, and then put it back, right?
Okay.
yeah, and that's what I'm recommending. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, get that chicken out of your way. It's just a hazard waiting to lose you precision tokens.
I
Or
guess-
not get
To
points.
clarify, the robot has to move it, right, Richard? You're not able
question.
to just like reach out and grab it from the.
I
have a question.
Okay, I
Just want to
guess
clarify.
we
have a
solved it. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, where does
So
the
here's
chicken?
the precision
What,
token.
does the
right?
chicken start at base or?
No, it starts on the circle. It starts in
Oh.
the circle.
I guess
So-
we found the answer of why the chicken crossed the road.
Right, exactly. Why did the chicken cross the road? That's the big one. for this-
Richard, we got time for one more question here. Anuja says, do you have any more tips on robot starting position? We struggled with that last year. Every mission was a different starting point and it got confusing.
Right. So by having individual people who designed and built their mission, they should remember if they're going up and running it, they should remember where to start it. Certainly there is different starting positions. The code that I showed you for the bridge, for instance, starts at a slightly different spot in base. I did write that code because before I recommended to someone that it was not a difficult mission, I wanted to make sure that it wasn't a difficult mission. And there are different places that you align in base. I would use the text on the ground. In the little short video clip that I showed you, I said, I'm going to align this with the T in automation of Rockwell Automation. If I put it on the T and I hit play, that package will be delivered. I might not get 30, but I'm definitely going to get 20.
Awesome.
And
Okay,
it's going
thank
to be on
you.
that
Well,
platform.
For that.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you very much, Richard. And thank you everybody for your participation in our call tonight. It has been fantastic. Richard, I don't know if you have a final slide. Do you have a final goodbye slide or anything that you wanted to show?
I
No?
stop
All
with
right.
questions.
Thank you for
All right,
having
beautiful.
us.
You guys are welcome, and good luck with scoring lots of points. I want to see everyone here score 345 at the minimum.